Another test against one of the best. Will the orange and blue bounce back after the other night's disappointment? We get you set for the Oilers and Avalanche right here on the Oil Stream Pregame Show. Good evening, everybody. Tom Gazzola with you live on location, Hudson's White Avenue, where we are broadcasting from. Come on down, and if you're not doing anything tonight, you can watch the game with yours truly, like Richard Croft is already here. Richard providing the pregame beverage, and I have to say a big thank you to Richard, one of our OG Nasties. YouTube Trev holding things down back at ESTHQ. Matt Kassian will be joining us a little bit later, and we will get to hear from and see Megan Angley from DNVR Sports to give us the scoop on the Colorado Avalanche. Edmonton rolls into this one 45-24-5. Colorado 48-22-6. Game number 75 for the Oil. The Avs winners in a mini last night. So some travel. They gain an hour, but maybe some tired legs. However, we're starting to see in the National Hockey League that really doesn't factor in as much maybe as years prior. As always, you can text us 780-218-9999, and you can get into the nasty chat. Look at Richard. This is why I love the nasties. Get over here. Do you have yours? You don't have yours? Okay. This one, I'll wait for you. There it is. Come on in, Richard. We're gonna start the weekend off right. Salute, Richard. Cheers, my friend. There we go. Oh, thank you. Yeah, cheers. Oh, that was... Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. That was delicious. I appreciate that so very much. I need to wash it down with some beer. Woo! Trev. Oh, Richard's trying to kill me. Where you at, big boy? Where you at?
Was that spicy or what?
I didn't need it, but I wanted it.
Yeah. I was chuckling away there. That's good. Nice for Richard. He is a very loyal one of our listeners. So yeah, he's always at every single one of these on location. So we really appreciate it, Richard. Thanks for that.
He says there's one waiting for you. That's what he was trying to tell me. So, hey, Richard, Trev is cheersing you right now. So there you go. That's the beauty of being on location. You get to know the nasties in person, and we have a lot of fun together. I will have some GCs to give away. I've got a fresh batch from Connor here at Hudson's White Avenue. Come on down anytime, really. A nice little Friday as we get through to the weekend. Big thank you to Dusty for filling in for me on Oil Stream today, and then Awanik with Quinn Phillips and our EST glue guy. Had another tough day for the Gazzolas. And so those who were wondering where the hell Tom was today, we had to say goodbye to another member of the family, and it was a fantastic celebration of life. So great to be talking hockey. And great to be here with you. All right, before Megan joins us, let's get into the question of the night as well as the starting lineups. As always, highly encourage you get in on the conversation at 780-218-9999. If you're listening on TuneIn, iHeartRadio, or our audio stream on EdmontonSportsTalk.com, text us. And then if you're watching on our EST YouTube channel, which continues to grow, and we love it, and we appreciate it, and we're thankful for it, get in on the nasty chat. For the Oilers, this is what we're anticipating tonight. McDavid between Draisaitl and Hyman. So Chris Knobloch stacking them up, going with the nuclear option. Nugent Hopkins between Henrique and Fogle on the second line. Ryan McLeod centering Evander Kane and Corey Perry. And then you've got Derek Ryan between Matthias Janmark and Connor Brown. On defense for the Oil tonight, no real surprises here. I know people probably wanted to see Troy Stecher. That's not going to happen. It doesn't look like. Ekholm with Bouchard. Nurse paired up with CC. Kulak with Desharnais. So Stecher and Carrick are the odd men out. As for the Avs, this is what we're expecting. Nathan McKinnon between Jonathan Drouin and Mikko Rantanen. Then you've got Casey Middlestat between Valerie Nichushkin, who's a game-time decision, and Arturi Lehkonen. Ross Colton centering Miles Wood and Zach Parise. Yakov Trenin also expected to be a game-time decision. If he's good to go, we anticipate he'll be between Andrew Cogliano and Brandon Duhaime. On defense for the Avs, it's a really solid D-core. I know Dusty's been talking about it. We've been talking about it on the Oil Stream. Devon Toews paired up with Cale Makar, Sam Girard with Josh Manson, Jack Johnson with Sean Walker, who burned the Oilers for 2 the last time these two teams locked horns a couple of weeks ago. Potentially are out tonight for sure, at least Logan O'Connor, IR hip, Pavel Francouz, IR groin, Gabriel Landeskog, IR knee. Now, if the game time decision players are good to go, Joel Kiviranta comes out. Starting goalies for the Oilers, 25-year-old Stuart Skinner, 33, 14, and 5 with a 263 goals against average, 906 save percentage, 2 shutouts in 54 games this season. Skinner versus the Avs, lifetime 1-0-2 record, 223 goals against average, 949 save percentage in 3 appearances against Colorado. And at the other end of the rink, we're anticipating 28-year-old Alexander Georgiev, 37, 15, and 4 with a 285 goals against average, 901 save percentage, 2 shutouts in 58 games this season. Georgiev versus the Oilers, a 5-1-3 record, 327 GAA, 907 save percentage in 9 appearances versus Edmonton over the course of his career. So there you go. Starting lineups and starting netminders ready to go, locked and loaded. If there's any changes, we will update you when the teams hit the ice for warm-up. I'll also throw out the question of the night. I'll get Trev to answer it first. I also want to hear from all of our listeners and viewers. Question of the night is this: would you have faith in the Oilers in a 7-game series against the Avalanche this spring? Text us 780-218-9999 or get into the nasty chat. So, Trev, you get first dibs on it. Would you have faith in the Oilers in a 7-game series against the Avalanche this spring? What say you? They're 0-1 this season versus the Avs.
Yeah, I think I do have faith in the Oilers. Tommy, if it was a 1 game, probably not, but it's 7 games. A lot can happen in 7 games. I do think that the Oilers could win a few of those games, if not beat the whole series. So, you got the two of some, Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, hopefully a huge bounce back performance tonight. But this isn't the same Colorado Avalanche team, as when they last faced in the playoffs when they got swept. I do think the Oilers have gotten better since then, and I do think the Colorado Avalanche have gotten, not nearly as good as that year's team. So I do think they stand a chance, and you go with the nuclear option tonight. Look, Tommy, they were one breakaway. It was Nugent Hopkins the last time these guys faced. Nugent Hopkins on a breakaway. He usually goes low blocker. That night he went forehand backhand. It didn't work for him, so they lose that game. But they were that close, Tommy. They really were. If they win that game, I think I'd even have more faith. But they went toe to toe with one of the best teams, in my opinion, the best team in the NHL. So I do have faith in the Oilers going into a series playing the Colorado Avalanche, and I think a lot of fans should. Yes, the game that they played, that's not who the Oilers were. That they came out, it was terrible, But that's not who the Oilers are. They're a really good team. Since Knobloch joined, they're one of the best teams in the NHL. They have the best record in the NHL since then. So, yeah, going toe-to-toe with the Colorado Avalanche, I have a lot of faith in them in a 7-game series. So, yeah.
Nicely, that was good.
Yeah?
You're feeling it today, aren't you?
Oh, thanks, Tommy.
You're feeling it. That was
I'm
a
buzzing.
nice little diatribe. You're buzzing.
Honestly cannot wait.
Okay.
It's almost playoffs. This is the best time of the year, Tommy. I've been saying it for last 2 weeks. But McKinnon, McDavid, they're 2 of my best favorite players in the NHL. So, yeah, I can't wait. I'm pumped right now.
I like it. It's going to be a good game. And now, do I have faith in the Oilers in a 7-game series against the Avalanche? Yes, I do. I'm not really that rattled by what happened watching the Oilers against the Stars the other night. Sometimes you get smacked around. Sometimes you get a wake-up call. Do I like the fact that it happened against the Toronto Maple Leafs a couple weekends ago, and then it was followed up by this loss in Dallas? No. Am I that concerned? Maybe as much as some of our listeners, viewers, and a lot of people who are fans of the team? No, absolutely not. I do think that those guys, they let the emotion of the game get to them. I think Darnell Nurse set a really bad precedent, and then it just leaked away, and the Stars, they smelt blood, and then they pounced. Sometimes you need that, even before the playoffs. And I was Dusty this morning on the morning show saying, hey, what are the Oilers with Chris Knobloch against top 5 opposition? It's like 4-1-1. What were they with Jay Woodcroft at the helm before he was let go? He was 0-5. I think there's a rationale there that needs to be chewed on a little bit. So before everybody hits the panic button like they were on the post-game show on Wednesday night. Take a step back, analyze the situation, big picture, and you'll see that this team probably bounces back stronger, and in the playoffs will buckle it down. But I don't like what Darnell Nurse did the other night. The emotions of the game getting to him, and I think that his teammates were affected by that. And we saw them fall apart in, a 6-minute span in Dallas in that second period where it all came unglued. So let us know your thoughts. 780-218-9999. It's the question of the night. Would you have faith in the Oilers in a 7-game series against the Avalanche this spring? We want to hear from you. We'll read those out as we go along. And then if you're watching on our EST YouTube channel, get in on the nasty chat. I'll be reading those as well. All right, before we welcome in our next guest, let's get to this portions of this hour brought to you by our dear friends at 100.3 The Bear, Edmonton's best rock. Catch Dusty Nielsen with Yukon Jack and Scott McCord weekday mornings, and tune into Jess Jackson on your way home from work every afternoon. So be sure to tune into The Bear. We love them. We miss being in the same building with them, but great to be partnered up with everyone at Edmonton's best rock, 100.3 The Bear. All right, let's welcome in Megan Angley from DNVR Sports. Hello, Megan. What's going on in Colorado? What's going on in Denver these days? Everything good? Did you guys get a snowstorm like we did today?
No, it's opening day for the Rockies season, and the weather was beautiful.
Lucky. As you can see behind me, it's gloomy, a little bit overcast, but a couple of days ago, it was like 68 degrees Fahrenheit, or as we say in Canada, 16 to 17 Celsius.
Incredible.
Yeah, no, you guys, nobody understands the conversion. We don't either. I know Americans don't, but that's like the kind of the comparison. All right, let's get to hockey talk, Megan. Last night's 5-2 win in Mini. For those that missed it up here, what were the keys to victory for the Avs?
It started with a better start, so Arturi Kalakinen getting them on the board first helped them to overcome a little bit of trouble they've had with allowing the first goal against and then needing to climb back into games. Their comeback wins this season have been really impressive, but I wanted to see them accomplish victory in a couple of different ways. And the other thing that I liked about their win in Minnesota was on the heels of what was not an impressive showing in the Columbus game and the Montreal game. They really needed these points, especially to have a shot in the Central Division. And the other thing was to win by larger than a 1-goal margin. In their matchups against Minnesota so far this season, they've been really tight games. And after what happened in Columbus, I really just wanted to see a couple of Avs find the back of the net. And it's great to see Nathan MacKinnon get back on the score sheet and just continue building upon what a special season he's already had thus far. So getting a couple guys involved, the special game from Jonathan Duran also was another big takeaway from that Minnesota game, and a stellar performance from a rookie goaltender, Justus Annunen, in net. Just inspired a little bit of hope for the goaltending situation for the Avs moving forward.
Megan, I'm glad you brought up Columbus, because Wednesday night, I'm doing the post-game show. The Oilers get spanked by the Dallas Stars in Dallas. Bad road trip. They lose in St. Louis in overtime. They get spanked by the Dallas Stars. And people are texting into our show, and they're saying, oh, my God, this Oilers team's not going to win. They're not going to be contenders in the playoffs. Are you kidding me? This team, it's a joke. It's all phony. And I said, okay, let's take a deep breath together. Namaste. What happened to the Avs in Columbus? They lost. In that game, Megan, what went wrong? What can you recall? What can you tell Oilers fans about that loss that the Avs suffered at the hands of one of the worst teams in the league, which the Oilers have done this season? Don't get me wrong.
I don't want to accuse the Avs of playing down to the competition, because I think they take a lot of pride in being prepared for each game. But I do think that because they had just won 6-1 over Columbus in late March, they might have underestimated the situation Columbus was in. They were down a lot of key players. It felt like maybe in their eyes they woke up for that game thinking it was going to be easier. And when it came time to climb back into that game, there were some things inside the second period with penalties stacking atop one another that pointed to some frustration. It's not an overarching concern I have for the maturity of this Avs group, because I've seen them overcome adversity in game throughout this entire season. But in Columbus specifically, one, you felt like they deserved a better fate because they just got an excellent goaltending performance on the opposite end. They put up almost 50 shot attempts and came out of that with 1 goal. And so that's just pretty hard to contain the Avs to just 1 goal with that type of shooting.
True.
But the other part of it was, I think, a little bit of frustration. And I don't want to say a lack of preparedness, but maybe just a touch of that and not enough runway to then climb back into that game. I would assure your Edmonton audience of the same thing, that these types of games, I feel like, come at this stretch in the season. And it's okay to absorb 1 or 2 of them. If it were happening more consistently, I would be a little bit more concerned for Edmonton or for Colorado. But I think that these are the kinds of games that shake loose any lingering bad habits that might still be hanging around. And it's important to get those out before the regular season ends.
I like that. Get it out of your system before the games start to really matter. That is a good point. And a nice reminder, Megan, that the best teams lose to bad teams and have bad nights like the Oilers did down the stretch. Megan Angley joining us from DNVR Sports right now, giving us the Avs perspective as we head into this huge matchup between two really good teams in the Western Conference, Oilers and Avs, just after 7 p.m. our time. Puck drop down at Ice District. All right, Megan, Valerie Nichushkin, Yakov Trenin, game time decisions. Where did they get nicked up? Do you anticipate that both those guys are going to be playing tonight?
I do. For Yakov Trenin, it was right after the Nashville game, unfortunately. His return to his former team has a great performance. Sounds very minor. And I'm trying to remember what it was for Val Nichushkin. It was really recent here, though, another day-to-day kind of minor situation. And because they've reassigned both Chris Wagner and Jean-Luc Foudy to the AHL, I think that both Trenin and Nichushkin are options tonight. It was encouraging that Val Nichushkin did join them on this road trip within the last game. And so Trenin has been skating with them in a regular contact jersey. I especially expect him to be in tonight. But if they can get both of those players, then it'll make a big difference.
All right, I want to ask you this. So Trenin and Nichushkin expected to be back in the lineup tonight. How has Trenin, Casey Middlestat, and Sean Walker amalgamated themselves into the group, in your opinion?
I felt like the front office knocked it out of the park. So much of what they prioritize in deadline fits is a cultural fit as well, and that has been evident in the hard work that each of these new additions has shown up for. And I think they've exceeded expectation to some extent. Like Sean Walker coming into the bottom of the D-core and having what was an incredible outing the last time that he played at Edmonton. I'm not going to expect that from him.
Edmonton fans know they wanted him too.
I'm not going to necessarily expect that from him tonight, but Bo Byram left big shoes to fill there on the D-core, and he has been a wonderful puck-moving D that has fit in so nicely with how Colorado wants him to play. Without getting into too much of the specifics of each player, they have each leaned into their role so perfectly. Like, getting Nichushkin and Trenin back just balances that forward group out in a really necessary way. You can see a difference when Trenin is out of the lineup as well as Nichushkin, because that third and fourth line just becomes a little less threatening, and he has been such a huge addition on their PK. Brandon Duhaime has also added a little bit of grit and has been a viable option to play up in the lineup on that second line as needed until Nichushkin comes back. And then Casey Middlestat, of course, has been a tremendous fit in the Avs top six. He has done everything that I think they needed in a 2C, just short of what we saw Nazem Kadri do in the Cup year, which is a really hard expectation to meet. But the skill upside, the high IQ playmaking ability that Middlestat has teased has fit in so nicely with what the top six is trying to do.
Megan Angley joining us now from DNVR Sports as we get you set for the Oilers and the Avs. All right, you talk about Nathan MacKinnon. We have Connor McDavid here at Edmonton, and these two guys neck and neck for the scoring lead. A monster season for MacKinnon. Is he getting a lot of Hart Trophy, Ted Lindsay Trophy chatter around Denver? Because here in Edmonton, we expect McDavid to be there every year, but it seems like MacKinnon is the front runner talking to people outside of our market.
It's wonderful to hear that because people are really banging that drum for MacKinnon inside of Colorado. It was pretty crushing when his home point streak ended in Ball Arena because people were really hoping for him to continue that on this season. And anytime that his assist was announced on a goal in Ball Arena, the crowd went wild because they knew what was on the line for him. They knew too that this point streak and bumping elbows with Wayne Gretzky for that 40 game streak mark that he was vying for would really help his case in the Hart Trophy run. And even still, he's having that special season. It is great company to be right up there with McDavid because, like you said, he's there every year. He's been on the doorstep of 100-point seasons before and only made it to that marker last year. And so to see him get to 130 this year just feels like what he has been searching for year after year. And just some injuries have prevented him from playing a full season. And now we're getting to feel what it's like to see Nathan MacKinnon at his best.
Absolutely special to watch him. He's like a little bulldozer, and it's fun to watch the style he plays. So a treat to watch McDavid here. Absolutely. Draisaitl, yes, we acknowledge that, but McKinnon, the way he does it, there's a certain masterclass and mastery how he does everything on the ice. Okay, how about this one? Alexander Georgiev. First of all, I love saying the name Georgiev. Is there a lot of trust in him going into the playoffs? Because here in Edmonton, even though Stu Skinner's had a really good year, it's only his second full season in the NHL, there are people that still look at Skinner and go, I don't know if I trust him in the playoffs. And he had a spotty postseason last year. How do people around Denver feel about Georgiev going into this postseason?
It's been really hard to evaluate because, similar to Skinner, his first full year as a starter in the NHL comes about just last year, and I thought Georgiev handled that pressure really well and that workload really, really well. I also did not blame him for the Seattle series outcome at all. I thought he did what was needed in those 7 games for Colorado. They were just missing the horses in that race. But his overall regular season performance and even postseason performance did create a pretty solid foundation of trust. What's been affected this year is it seems like the mental side of the game has been a little harder for him to process at times. He visibly shows frustration in a way that's different from anything we saw last year. And so I think that planted some seeds of doubt about how he can handle a best of.
Well, we lost Megan Angley there. We'll get her back right away here. There you go. So doubts even with Alexander Georgiev in his ability to lead this team in Colorado to a championship. So that's kind of interesting to hear. I think for some, I find it interesting. I think it's neat to hear. I think others might be surprised by it, but I point at the last 5 Stanley Cup winners and you go, well, Aiden Hill, he was the 4th choice for the Golden Knights. Before that, who do we have? Vasilevsky. Okay, everybody knows he's a bona fide starter. And then before that, who did we have? I skipped over Darcy Kemper with the Avalanche. And then before that was Jordan Binnington. Yes, he can be elite. We saw him play very well against the Oilers the other night. And then we had Braden Holtby. I don't think people are putting him in the elite of the elite. So it's interesting to hear an outsider's perspective on goaltending. And so people who are worried about Stu Skinner here, you're hearing Megan telling us about Georgiev. So let's bring her back on. She's good to go. Megan, sorry about that. You're back. You just cut out when you were saying, hey, listen, the Georgiev's had the interesting remark about his attitude, his frustration that he's shown, and then not really being sure, can he be the guy to lead this guy to the promised land? And I was just saying to our listeners and viewers, Darcy Kemper did it for the Avs.
And Pavel Francouz did it at least through the Western Conference Final.
Good point.
I think that's why there is trust in Georgiev, but there wasn't trust in what the overall goaltending situation outlook would be going into a postseason, just because Justus Annunen, their backup right now, has just turned 24 years old, has very limited NHL games under his belt, and has not experienced an NHL postseason. Georgiev hasn't experienced much of one as a starter either, so that's just a little bit of unknown in terms of being battle tested. And I think that's sort of the lingering concern is together there is some faith of what the two of them can accomplish, and the rest of it really lays in Georgiev's hands. He took a chance on himself in coming to Colorado, and there's only so much more runway in that, and this is going to be a really important playoff run for him to demonstrate if he can handle the pressures of a starter in a long postseason run. And as for Justus Annunen, I've been watching him in the American League for some time, and one of his first Calder Cup performances that I watched, he handled those pressures really well, but he did need a veteran presence backing him up along the way just to help out in case there was a difficult game one in the Calder Cup race. And so I'll be curious to see how it shakes out for those two together down the line. I think Annunen emerging as a promising backup through this last stretch of games for the Avs has helped take some pressure off Georgiev, but it's still a little too soon to tell what playoff Georgiev looks like.
Oh, see, there you go. Oilers fans are probably like, oh, it's not just us. I get it. Tom Gazzola, live on location, Hudson's White Avenue. Join me. I've got some GCs to give away. Should be a fun night down here. And YouTube Trev holding things down back at our EST HQ. Matt Kassian coming up in about 10 minutes' time. We're joined now by Megan Angley from DNVR Sports talking about the Avs. Okay, I want to ask you this, Megan, because there are people, especially after a couple of losses in the last couple of weeks, you go, this team, like I said, they're not contenders. Why do you guys think they're contenders? How do you view the Edmonton Oilers?
I view them with a great deal of respect, especially not happy to see that the Avs are getting the bulk of this matchup at the end of the regular season when the points matter for both parties so much. And you have players like Connor McDavid and Draisaitl creeping into that top 10 overall league points race. I expect Draisaitl to hit the 100-point mark tonight. I want them to contain him, but I expect that to happen. And so I look at the overall picture for Edmonton, very similar to the Avs, like goaltending question marks. Don't even want to put it as a concern. But the horses that you have up front are such offensive weapons that it's something I look at tonight as a measuring stick game. This does have a playoff feel from my perspective, and the Avs should be respecting the competition from the drop of the puck, especially on the second leg of a back-to-back. They do not want to give even a little bit of an edge to a team as good as Edmonton, because this is the type of team where the margin of error is paper thin. Edmonton is the type of team that is going to capitalize on any vulnerability that the Avs might have. And I think it is because of how complete they are in their forward group and the emergence of Evan Bouchard on the top pair there. You know, Matthias Ekholm as the addition last year, I think it was, reminds me of the Manson addition for the Avs around the Cup year. So I think that they've gotten a little bit stronger in ways that remind me of the Avs, and that is something to take seriously and respect.
Wow. So first of all, Oiler fans probably feel, and I feel the same way about the Avs. That is a hell of a team over there. And I think sometimes we need to hear it here in Edmonton from outside sources, because it's not all gloom and doom after getting whooped by the Dallas Stars. All right, last one for you, Megan. What do you expect in this game tonight? Are we in for a high-scoring game, or is it going to be a tight, close-checking, exciting game with chances at both ends like we saw a couple of weeks ago?
Because this is also, if I'm correct, the first leg of your back-to-back for the Edmonton Oilers.
Yes.
I'm hoping it's a tight game because both teams are not necessarily playing conservatively, but more so responsibly. If it is going to be an eventful game, I hope it happens inside the first period, because I think that's when the Avs will most have their legs underneath them. And so I do expect maybe some fireworks inside the first, but then it's going to be just blows being exchanged between two heavyweights, just trying to keep the score down for the rest of the game.
I say light that lamp, Megan. Let's see that offense. Pour it on. That would be great at both ends. I have no sympathy whatsoever for defense, and that's just me. But others respect the defensive game. Hey, Megan, great stuff. Thanks for joining us tonight. We're going to have to do this again. Enjoy the game.
Thank you so much. You too.
There's Megan Angley from DNVR Sports. Great stuff. See, a little bit of perspective there, YouTube, Trev. Kind of nice to hear others and how they feel about this team here in Edmonton. And I say that obviously chastising the doubters in our city, because we saw it on the post-game show the other night. We've seen it on the post-game show a bunch of times. But there you go. There's someone covering the Avs. There's someone who has the same concerns about the Oilers that we do about the Colorado Avalanche from an Edmonton perspective. Sometimes you need to hear that, right?
Yeah, absolutely, Tommy. Like I know from when it is when the goings are tough, and like I asked my dad, like he's a huge Jets fan. I'm like, well, what are you seeing? What are you seeing? Like, is it all okay? And he's like, yeah, like he's terrified. If the Oilers face the Winnipeg Jets in the playoffs, he's like, that's one team I do not want to face more than any other team. And I'm like, really? Like you actually think that? Like they just lost 5-0 to the Stars, and so it's always nice to hear that perspective. You kind of just get so lost, when there are nights like that. But no, absolutely, Tommy. It's always nice to hear that perspective.
All right. Great stuff from Megan Angley. Give her a follow on X, and very thorough and a little bit newer to the scene, but she's great. Absolutely fantastic. And we love introducing some of the new. I can't believe it. There's a lot of people that I've known for a long time on the beat, and then there's new people, and I love having the new people on. And I think it's great to see how many people are passionate about hockey, not just in our neck of the woods, but across the entire NHL landscape. And, man, we're lucky to be able to reach out and have them join us on the show. All right, 780-218-9999. We will get to Matt Kassian shortly. Let's get to some text messages. I want to hear from everyone. Of course, if you're watching, hit us up in the nasty chat. Let's see what we've got going on here. Coach Mike texting in says, hey, Tommy, do these lines give the Oilers the best chance to win this game? Is this one and done? I'm not sure that Knobloch or what Knobloch is trying to accomplish, Coach Mike. Coach Mike, the best chance to win. I'm not going to lie to you, Coach Mike. Like, sure, but I know we dive into the minutia of lines. I like Edmonton's top 9, and I think that they can mix well, and I think that the best coaches find ways to read and react and switch up the lines depending on what's happening in the first 5 to 10 minutes. So if Chris Knobloch is going to stick with these lines throughout the game, I have faith in them getting it done. If he mixes a few things up because of little reads and tells that he's getting from the Avalanche and finds the right combination, which he has done at times this year, great. That's what good coaches are supposed to do. But do these specific lines right now that they skated with give them the best chance to win? That's McDavid with Draisaitl and Hyman, Nugent-Hopkins with Henrique and Foegele, McLeod with Kane and Perry, Ryan between Janmark and Brown. I'll say this, McDavid between Draisaitl and Hyman, monster line. Simple as that. Maybe they're trying to overload the Avs and go power on power. And then Nugent-Hopkins with Henrique and Foegele. What is that line strengths? Well, you got two guys who think the game really, really well in Henrique and Nugent-Hopkins. And you got Foegele, who's a burner with a nice touch, a little bit of a nose for the net, bigger body. Could that work against an Avs team that probably isn't as physical as the Dallas Stars? Like if you go line 2 versus line 2, you've got Foegele, you've got Nugent-Hopkins, you've got Henrique going up against Mittelstadt, Nichushkin, and Lehkonen. I'm not worried about them being physically outmatched in that head-to-head. So, sure. Okay, I'd like Edmonton's second line against Colorado's second line tonight. I know Nichushkin's a big-body guy, but I don't look at him and think of him as an overly physical presence. Mittelstadt, certainly not, and Lehkonen is just a good, solid Finnish player that has a touch and busts his butt and can kind of do it all. Third lines, so Ross Colton, Miles Wood, and Zach Parise for the Avs going up against McLeod, Kane, and Perry. I like Kane paired up with Perry. I think those two probably give Ryan McLeod a little bit more confidence and trust. You're a young guy, and you've got Evander Kane on one side. When he's engaged, look out. He's been a little bit nicked up lately. And then you got Corey Perry, Hart Trophy winner, future Hall of Famer, can still do it at times, shows you little flashes here and there, is a greasy player. I like that line for the Oilers over the Avs line. And then the fourth line is Ryan with Janmark and Brown. Brown has been playing better of late. I will note that. And you go that against Trennan with Cogliano and Duhaime. I'd say that one's a wash. So, Coach Mike, I say that this lineup gives the Oilers a good chance to win tonight. Whether it's the best chance, I don't know for certain. That's what I would say to that. Let's go to the Liquid Beaver, who says, until we get a second line figured out with Draisaitl on it, the Oil won't make it out of the Western Conference. But you're saying they can get to the final of the Western Conference, Liquid Beaver. Let's go to Rusty Shackelford. Says, T-Biscuit, I have no doubt that the Oilers can take the Avs in a 7-game series, but I am worried about even getting to that conference final the way Nugent Hopkins and Kane are playing. Each passing game where they are snake-bitten makes me more concerned for the playoffs. Each player has to be going in the playoffs. Rusty Shackelford, that is totally understandable. Nugent Hopkins, you thought he got off the schneid. There was that chintzy call on the goalie interference on Monday night in St. Louis. And, maybe that would have got Nugent Hopkins going. He's had a few posts. I do have faith in both of those guys elevating their play in the postseason. Nugent Hopkins didn't have a great playoff last year. Still put up decent points. But I think he can be more effective like he was 2 seasons ago in the postseason. And then Evander Kane, you hope that he can get as close to 100% as possible down the stretch here. And then when he wants to engage himself and turn it on, the guy can be an absolute game changer, and he can tilt the ice for you. So it's, I think, solely in the mind of Evander Kane in terms of him wanting to engage and make a difference. And then Nugent Hopkins, I think, will be able to get it going and figure it out. Let's see if he can get something going, build a little momentum in these last handful of games. Let's go to Donnie M. Tommy, nice interview with Megan. Yes, she was great. Thank you, Donnie M. Appreciate that. Jason, the pharmacist, says, no goaltending questions for the Oilers. Skinner is the best Canadian-born goalie in the NHL. Let's go to Joel. Says, Tommy, are you sitting by the kitchen? No, but it's busy, and there's a bunch of people coming in post-work, starting their weekend off right. So, and the drinks in the bar are right across the walkway here of me or from me. And so we got a good vibe and good energy building up here at Hudson's White Avenue. All right. Text us 780-218-9999 and then get into the nasty chat. Let's get to our game analyst who's standing by patiently. It is Matt Kassian. Game Changers brought to you as always by Damon Bunting Remax Elite. Damon Bunting, consistent top producing realtor in Greater Edmonton and among Western Canadian Remax realtors. He and his team would love to help you find that right home or make the move from your current home. Community driven. He understands what it takes to make a difference in our city. Check him out, DamonBunting.com, or visit his Instagram at Damon Bunting Real Estate. Hello, Cass. How you doing, pal?
I'm doing good. Say I picked up the webcam finally.
It is crisp.
So we're looking clean and looking sharp. We have improved the quality, so it's looking good, feeling good. Tommy, look good, feel good, play good.
Cass, I like that you brought that up. It looks very, very crisp and clear. You sound great as always, and also today, I got our new mic flags done. They're ready to go, and they look really, really sharp. I'm excited to use them next week.
Well, that's good. I'm looking forward to it, too, just in time for playoffs.
Look at us go. Just a bunch of neat boys and girls over here at EST. All right, Cass, Avs and Oilers. I want to see, do I want to save the question of the night for you for later? Yeah, I'm going to save it for the end of Game Changers. I threw it out there earlier in the show, and I do want to get our texts in and nasty chat messages on the question of the night as well. We'll get to those in a little bit. All right, Cass, let's go into Game Changers, brought to you as always by Damon Bunting Remax Elite. Number one, I like what you did with this today, and fittingly so. Darnell Nurse.
Yeah, straight up. Darnell Nurse has to be better. Has to recover. Was a very poor, horribly poor, awful game from Darnell Nurse. His worst in as long as I can remember this season. Needs to recover emotionally, needs to get his emotions under control, and just play the simple game that when he plays, he's very effective with. He got away from that, and he has a couple of times the last few weeks, but Tommy, he was just straight up awful last game. If you want to beat the Colorado Avalanche, Darnell Nurse is going to have to play and play well.
Yep.
He's going to be tested. There's a lot of offensive punch from this Colorado group. You're going to have some tough matchups at times for Darnell Nurse, and he needs to play well. I mean, you can't be caught in pinching to create 4-on-1s. I mean, you just can't. So again, he struggled. I anticipate that he'll be better this game, that he'll respond and that he'll rebound and that, he'll have that elasticity to him where he can bounce back here and have a night. But Tommy, story of the game, a big story of the game against Dallas was Darnell Nurse and the mistakes that he made. Tommy, he's got to clean those up for the Edmonton Oilers to win against the Colorado Avalanche.
Cass, one part of Nurse's game that I did not like the other night was when he took that 10-minute misconduct. Yeah. He is an emotional leader for this team, and what I'm going to suggest might make some people go, oh, they should be able to overcome that. But when you do have a guy who's a leader on your team, on the ice, off the ice, emotional, they can set the tone or they can derail things. And I think the way he handled that situation derailed things for the team. And then his play after that let them down as well. And it snowballed. And I think that had a major effect on the way that the Oilers played in that second period, in that 6-minute stretch where they allowed those goals. And I think it spoiled the game for them when I thought, seriously, that they were going back and forth in a good way with the Stars until that happened.
Yep.
Why am I not crazy, or why am I crazy in having that theory?
Well, you're not crazy because it's not a theory. They spiraled after that. He took a penalty, and it wasn't like it was a horrible call. I don't think it was a horrible call. I thought it was a penalty. He didn't like it, and he just lost control of his emotions. And say one thing to the ref, say two things to the ref. You can't say 10 or 15 things to the ref. And if you just keep running your mouth at them, you're going to get 10. Like that's what they do. They're going to do that. Now, if you would calm yourself down and approach them after the next whistle once you're out of the box and say, plead your case, say what you need to say, they're not going to give you a 10 for that. But against, especially Tommy, and the reason it's so impactful, even from a momentum standpoint, is Darnell's one of your better defensemen that does play a lot of minutes. Now he's off the ice for 12 full minutes. He's gone for the rest of the period, and they kind of managed the rest of that. But then they, were a little flat in the second, and emotionally, I just think that impacts your team. It impacts the other defensemen. It impacts your forwards, and people seeing you completely lose it, going like, oh man, like, and it just, I think, can unsettle players emotionally. So Tommy, you're not crazy at all for saying that. I think it just, it was an example of where Darnell Nurse was at for that hockey game, and B, it kind of was what the team was, in that they just weren't composed. And your leaders, people are going to take cues from them. They're going to follow them. And for Darnell Nurse, and I'm sure he knows it, he can't fly off the handle in that situation.
Yeah. It's incredible what kind of effect the guys that are running the team can have, especially in a moment like that. And thank you for validating that belief or thought process. Cass, that's why you and I are good teammates. And that's why you and I have worked so well together. And that's why you and I are good at composing each other in high emotional moments. All right. Number 1 was Darnell Nurse, odd game changers. Number 2, when I saw it, I was like, yeah, I get it. Yep. Leon Draisaitl.
Part and parcel. I think the two guys in that leadership group that had really poor games against Dallas that need to find a way to turn it around. We saw Leon with the horrible turnover right at the blue line, trying to go backhand through the middle in his own end, under pressure, under a lot of pressure. Puck turns around, is in the back of your net. And that just kind of started the ball rolling. And yes, the Oilers recovered a little bit after that, where they still hung around and did some okay things in the rest of that first period. But you put your team on the back foot right away against a really good Dallas team that hadn't been giving up much in terms of goals. At that point, well, actually, it was even more now, but it was like, what was it, 11 goals in 7 games at that point? Now it's 11 goals in 8 games after the game against the Edmonton Oilers that the Dallas Stars had given up. Like, they weren't giving up a lot. And so you knew that first goal was going to be so ultra important to that hockey game and to controlling that momentum and to gaining the lead and to being able to actually open up the Dallas Stars hockey club to giving up opportunities. And Leon turns the puck over. It's, again, from a guy in your leadership group in a playoff atmosphere, playoff type game, you can't have that happen, and you don't want it to happen. So again, another guy that has and we talked about this on the podcast this week, where it's like, how many times this year has Leon Draisaitl completely taken over a game where you and I on the post-game show have looked at it and said, man, Leon owned that game. Leon owned that game. Like, that was all Leon Draisaitl. Like, he drove that game. There hasn't been as many as there has been in years past. No, he's had some good games. He's had some great games. But generally speaking, it's like, well, McDavid also had a great game. Like, he wasn't like the guy that was really driving it. Now, is he fully capable of doing it? Yeah. And I hope I don't come across as trying to be too overly critical of Leon Draisaitl, because he's done some great things. He's continued to put up points, and he's still been a good player. But there have been moments like that moment against the Dallas Stars where he has made mistakes and it's cost the team. Now, you have again, elastic night, rubber night, whatever you want to call it, bounce back night here, opportunity for Leon Draisaitl to come out again in a playoff-like atmosphere, to respond, to dig in, and to give us and to give the Edmonton Oilers the type of game that we need to see in the playoffs. So I'm hoping he bounces back, and I think he will. But I think a lot of that drive tonight isn't just going to be Connor McDavid. It isn't just going to be Darnell Nurse. It also will be Leon Draisaitl, and that's why he's a game changer tonight.
I like it. Draisaitl on the cusp of a third consecutive 100-point season. He's sitting at 99. I like his chances for hitting the century mark tonight. It would be his fifth 100-point season in his illustrious career. So we'll see if he can hit that tonight. Cass, if I suggested that Leon Draisaitl earlier in the year, not so much lately, was trying to be too much like Connor McDavid at times, would that be far-fetched?
Well, I think he felt the pressure, especially early in the season when they were struggling, to try to be the one to help break them out of it, where he was trying to do too much. Now, I think the whole team was trying to do too much, where they just weren't, no one was doing anything. Everyone was trying to do so much that no one actually accomplished anything. So I think that's a fair statement to say there were times when, and I understand the feeling, I understand feeling that you're responsible for driving the play, because a lot of times he is on his line, and he should be. He's one of the best players in the world. He should be responsible for a line and for driving the play. But being responsible for driving the play doesn't mean you do things that are going to ultimately jeopardize that. And the tendency, I think, in Leon Draisaitl's game at times when he's not playing well is to try to force things too much, to try to create when there is absolutely nothing there. And it's a delicate balance for him, because he's one of those guys, we call him high risk, high reward players, right? Where you got to let him make the turnovers at times, because they might turn it over twice, but then the third time it is thread through and you're setting the guy up for a backdoor tap in. And Leon's that type of player, that he has the capacity and the ability to make those amazing plays where, he turns nothing into something. And you want to have those players have the flexibility to do that. But part of the responsibility of being that player and being responsible and being a leader in that instance is knowing when to and when not to do it. Now, you're not going to score a goal at your own blue line on the backhand. You're not going to do it. You're probably not going to send a guy in for a breakaway. And so for Leon, again, when he's playing well, he's not making those. We see him make the simple plays. And oftentimes it ends up generating way more offense. And then every once in a while he sprinkles in that amazing play or the high risk, high reward play, and then does it well. And he's got to get back to that. Now, again, we've seen him do it. We've seen him do it in the playoffs on one freaking leg. Like he's fully capable of doing it. Yes. And I'm not, I know we'll get to the question of the night. I'm not freaking out. I'm not panicking. I'm not like, oh, Leon, and they're going to fall apart. And he's going to be bad in the playoffs and he's going to turn the puck over a million times. I don't think that. But, from a momentum into the playoffs, playing another really good playoff team tonight, you have an opportunity to reset yourself and to play the way you need to play to have success and to bring the team success.
It is Game Changers, brought to you as always by Damon Bunting, Remax Elite, Tom Gazzola, live on location, Hudson's White Avenue. Matt Kassian and YouTube Trev with you. Number 1 was Darnell Nurse. Number 2 was Leon Draisaitl. Number 3, Cass, on Game Changers tonight, responsible minutes.
Yeah, super responsible minutes from the bottom 6 of the Edmonton Oilers. Tommy, they're going to have a job tonight, and particularly that third line. They have a job to do. You're coming up against another really deep, really good Colorado Avalanche team. Now, their third line and fourth line, I don't think are as good as Dallas's third line and fourth line.
Agreed.
But they're still very good. And the reality is that there are going to be minutes and moments when your third line in particular is playing against one of those top two lines. There's going to be moments when, you are on the ice against Nathan McKinnon and Mikko Rantanen and Jonathan Drouin. There's going to be moments for Evander Kane where he's out against Casey Middleton and Lekkonen and Nikushkin, if Nikushkin does indeed play. You are going to have opportunity to play either really well or really poorly against some of the top players in the league. And some of those minutes, Tommy, when you get those matchups, when they happen, are going to be absolutely crucial for the bottom six to execute and to come out and to play solid. Against a team like Colorado, sometimes those top lines wash each other out. Sometimes McKinnon and McDavid kind of end up being a wash because they're both really, really good. And if that second line ends up being a wash too, because they're both pretty good, that third line and those minutes either against one of those top two or even against the bottom six of the Colorado Avalanche, they just become so much more important and so much more vital. And you have to be responsible with them. You absolutely have to be responsible with them. You have to do everything you can in your power to not get scored on and hopefully generate some offense yourself. Like the question of depth against when you have two high-level, highly offensive teams or teams that have capacity for high offensive output, those little gaps in the third and fourth line, those moments when they're on the ice, Tom, they just get so crucial, so important. So really, really big night, I think. I mean, really for everybody. But that bottom six, I think, needs to play a really important role in this game.
Cass, we see Sam Carrick go out. Derek Ryan is in. And then on the back end, there were people calling for Troy Stetcher after the loss in Dallas. No changes to the back end. What do you make of that? And why or how would you explain to those who want to see Troy Stetcher in for CC or Desharnais? What's your rationale and what would you tell to those people that want to see that happen?
Well, first, he's not going in for CC. Give your head a shake. Second, he might go in for Desharnais at some point. I would say that it's one game. And as a coach, when you're looking at your team and you're looking at your defense, if a guy has one bad game, does that give you the onus as the coach to say, okay, you had one bad game, I'm pulling you out?
I think good coaches stick with their guys, especially the ones that they rode with all season.
That have worked and that have got you to where you are. Now, there's a leash there where it's not unlimited. It shouldn't be, but you can't just say, okay, you had one bad game, you had two bad games. Vinny Desharnais, you came back, you're playing with a broke finger, you had a bad night, and instantly we're going to pull you out of the lineup. Like, you can't do that. Now, I think you could make an argument to say, okay, Colorado's a team that skates really well. They have some speed, so maybe looking at a Stetcher instead of Desharnais, maybe that makes sense. Now, with that being said, Desharnais is still a core penalty kill player on this team. And he still has, if you look at the numbers, here's where analytics makes sense. When you look at the numbers, Vinny Desharnais has had a lot of success on the penalty kill. He's been one of their best, if not their best, penalty killing defenseman. And because skating isn't, it's still important, but he covers so much ice. He does a pretty good job of helping him out and being successful on it. So, you have to weigh those situational type plays like the penalty kill against what you're doing with your lineup as well. So I get that, they lost and they had a really bad game against Dallas, but that doesn't mean you blow everything up. Now, Derek Ryan coming in to go to the speed thing, you're having a veteran player that maybe a little bit quicker than Carrick that steps in, and a guy that has been rotating in and out anyways. You're kind of like, okay, that's typical. That's typical. That's not abnormal. Coaches are going to do that. You want to keep guys involved, and you want to keep Stetcher involved down the stretch too. Like, he should play again before the season's done, 1, 2, or 3 games, really.
Yeah.
Up to 3, I would say, because you want him involved.
Absolutely.
You got to get him in. But to just say, based on the Dallas game that we want to pull these guys out and sit everybody and, scratch Nurse and Draisaitl, which is a real comment that we got from a couple of people on the post-game show against Dallas. That's just not going to happen, nor should it happen. So I get that, you're upset at the last game, but you're not pulling those guys to the lineup. And Stetcher, listen, he's an NHL defenseman. Does he make you that markedly better than Vinny Desharnais being in the lineup with what you give up in the penalty kill? I don't think so, which is why he's not jumping in right away.
Gives you a different look, better, subjective. That's how I would. So I'm with you, Cass. I'm with you. And I'm glad you articulated it the way you did. And I know you were able to. So that's why I handed that off to you. Tom Gazzola, live on location. Hudson's White Avenue tonight. Come on down. Take advantage of some beverage and food specials. And then Matt Kassian at his satellite studios. YouTube, Trev, holding things down back at ESTHQ. Text us 780-218-9999 and then get into the nasty chat. I took a quick peek at the nasty chat. People were feeling pretty good there. Always appreciate what's going on in the nasty chat doing its thing. All right, Cass. Let's see. Do I want to go to some texts or do I want to go to the question tonight? Let me take a look at this text. Okay. One from Donnie M. Cass before we go to the question of the night. Donnie M. texts in, says, I hear Cass on Kane, probably hurt, but why is Nugent Hopkins not involved at all? Is he hurt too? No excuses, not valuable in postseason. Donnie M. has been all over Nugent Hopkins lately, Cass.
Well, Nuge hasn't been great the last 2 weeks. I'll give him that. I mean, I don't think it's fair to say that he disappears or has disappeared in the playoffs. I don't think that's a fair comment. But I think it's fair to say, yeah, Nuge needs to be more involved than he has been the last couple of weeks where he hasn't been great. Yeah, sure. I can get on board with that. Yeah, he hasn't been fantastic. You'd like him to score more. I mean, we had the goal that we thought should have been a goal he would have had. And if he would have scored that, people probably would be off his back a little bit. I again, don't think it's fair to jump on the Nuge and say he's going to disappear in the playoffs. But to say, yeah, he hasn't been as good as we'd like him to be the last week or two, yeah, sure, that's a fair comment.
All right, let's get into the question of the night. Text us 780-218-9999 or via the nasty chat if you didn't catch it earlier. I want to get Cass's take on the question of the night. Cass, would you have faith in the Oilers in a 7-game series against the Avalanche this spring? Because it could, it might, it will happen.
It maybe will happen.
Maybe.
A couple things. Let's unpack that word faith first, because I think that's important.
Okay.
I think that's important. I think it's important that when I'm going to make my comment here, I'm not talking about blind faith, which a lot of people, the second they hear faith, think blind faith, or they think leap of faith, like jumping, throwing yourself off a cliff, not knowing what's at the bottom. That's what a lot of people equate the word faith to. I do not equate it to that.
Would trust have been a better choice of words?
Trust might have been a better choice of words.
Okay,
well, I'm just defining my terms here. Because when I hear faith, I think a reasoned, rational, thought out process. That when I think of faith, so
doesn't happen around here all the time.
A reasonable, rational, thought out faith. When I say faith, I want to prelude it with those words: reasonable, rational, thought out. So when we say, would I have reason and rationale and justification for believing that the Oilers could win a 7-game series against the Avalanche this spring? Yeah, I do. They have enough in the offensive department. I think they have enough defensively that they have capacity to beat the Colorado Avalanche. We saw them beat the Colorado Avalanche not that long ago, and it was a really good game. And I think, that would stylistically sort of be what I would expect from these two teams per game over a 7-game series. Now, would it be a hard series? Absolutely. Is there potential that they lose it? Of course there is. Colorado's a really good team. But I think we have seen enough. This team, since the coaching change, has been the best team in the NHL. And they have beaten some of and almost all of the best teams in the league. Now, sometimes they've lost those games, but that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to win every single game. I mean, you don't expect to beat the Colorado Avalanche, 4 straight in a playoff series. You would expect it to probably going to be a long series. And I think with the statistically what we've seen from this team, the way they've been able to win close games, win 1-goal games, win games without giving up that many goals, I think we have seen enough to know that this team does have the capacity to beat the Colorado Avalanche. So would I have faith that Oilers would win a 7-game series against the Avalanche? Yes, I would. Now, again, Colorado's a really good team too. They could lose that series reasonably. But I think, if someone said there's no chance, there's zero chance, there's no way they beat Colorado, I think that's not rational and not thought out, because if you look at the two teams, I think Edmonton has a good chance if they play well. Now, if they play like they did against Dallas, they're getting swept in 4. But they could play against Ottawa and they get swept in 4. They could play against Columbus,
get swept in 3.
4 if they play that way.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, Cass. They get absolutely steamrolled. The Oilers and Avs have gone to extra time in 6 of their last 7 meetings in the regular season. Do you think we're going to see that again tonight, or is this going to be a regulation win here?
It's going to be tight, Tommy. It's going to be tight. It would not shock me one bit. I think someone wins it in overtime because it's going to be tight.
I'm looking forward to it, my friend. Great stuff as always. Very rational response to my questions as always. I trust and have faith in what you believe and what you tell us. Cass, great work as always. Catch up with you on the post-game show.
Thanks, buddy. Look forward to it.
That is our game analyst, Matt Kassian, with Game Changers, brought to you as always by Damon Bunting Remax Elite. All right, let's get to some text. 780-218-9999. Tube Socks. What up, Tube Socks? Says, presented with that opportunity, I always played poorly. Oh, what were we talking about there, Tube Socks? Are you playing on something? I don't know. Trev, am I missing something? You tell me.
I'm trying to figure out right now.
Tube Socks is always 2 steps ahead. You did put up a poll in the nasty chat. What do you got for us?
Yeah, I put up a poll. The question of the night: would you have faith/trust? Because that's what Matt Cass said. In the Oilers in a 7-game series against the Avalanche this spring, 22 votes so far. 59% say yes and 41% say no. That's where we're at right now.
Answer the damn poll, nasties. That's all we ask. 780-218-9999. There's a lot of you watching. Get at the poll. Would you have faith/trust in the Oilers in a 7-game series against the Colorado Avalanche? I love how you added in trust there, because Cass pointed about the difference between faith and trust. So well done, YouTube. Trev. All right, we're going to get to some nasty chat conversations as well as some texts in a little bit. But first, we're going to go inside the Oilers locker room. Let's hear from head coach Chris Knobloch.
We dealt with and flushed the last game, or do you find that out at 7 o'clock tonight?
I think we've done a pretty good job of having a bad game and putting that behind us and recovering and putting a good effort moving forward. I think it's something that was a one-off, and we will be much better tonight.
It just from the quick rushes at the morning skate, it looked like Hyman, Draisaitl, and McDavid were together. Is that a reaction to the last game or a reaction to tonight's opponent?
A reaction of our opponent tonight. We got McKinnon's line that's going to be playing 23 to 25 minutes tonight, and we want our best players out on the ice as much as possible, not necessarily the big head-to-head, but if we go with more of a 4-line strategy, it just makes it a little more difficult to get our guys on the ice as much as we want to.
There were lots of mistakes to go around last game, but some of them off the sticks or the decision-making of big-minute guys, some of your leadership group. What sort of sense do you get from those guys over the following days that they kind of get that message and understand the importance of tightening up, and what do you do with them?
I think they understand the importance of our games right now moving forward, and there were some mistakes by a lot of our guys, and the importance of our games right now and heading into playoffs, we have to eliminate those type of plays. We have to manage the puck a lot better. We have to be in a better defensive position, making it harder to give up chances and letting the other team force them to make 2, 3, or maybe 4 good plays before they have a look at the net, rather than us just making one blunder and giving up a chance, a goal against. And I don't think anyone thought we were very good against Dallas. I think we have been very good against top teams around the league. And I think with our team, how we've managed to respond after bad games, it's not much of a concern for me.
Vinny Darnay is named the Master nominee for the Oilers. You've seen a lot of hockey players over a lot of years, guys that came from the East Coast League and up. What are your thoughts on Vinny's journey here?
Well, I've only known Vinny for a short period of time, just a few months that I've been here, but I've got a tremendous amount of respect for him. For a guy that's had to put in his time in the American League, East Coast League, and for him to have the season that he's had and battling through some injuries, and we're very, very happy for him.
Evander Kane, he's on a career-long goalless streak, hasn't scored in over a quarter of a season here. Getting his chances, but they're still not going in. How does a coach deal with that? What do you do?
You try and I'd be patient. I think the biggest thing is be patient, because I'm seeing a lot of good things that he's doing. The amount of chances he's had probably the last 3 games, and also how he came up big in the Los Angeles game, the game that meant a lot in the standings, a team that was chasing us for that spot, and that night he might have been our best player. And I feel that through any player, confidence is a very important thing. And when you haven't scored goals, and we can go back to Ryan McLeod in whether it was November or late November, early December against Winnipeg, and he got his first goal as an empty net goal, and it's just the fact of seeing yourself put that puck in the net and getting that goal does so much for you mentally. And right now, Evander needs a break. I think he's been doing a lot of good things. He's had some good quality opportunities. Once that first one goes in, I think you'll see a different player.
All right, there's Chris Knobloch. He's got faith in Evander Kane and trust that he can get himself out of this career-long scoring slump. Kane, from everything I've been told, still a little bit nicked up, so he has not been healthy for the majority of the season. I thought he was healthy, and then I was told, hey, by the way, yeah, he's a little banged up. So that's what I'm being told, so I'm passing it along to you. Let's see if he can get healthy, score one, even while being a little bit nicked up. All right, I've got some nasty chats that I want to get to. I like this. It goes back to the question of the night, 780-218-9999. And nasty chat, get in on that if you're watching on our EST YouTube channel. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. We appreciate that as always. Question of the night one more time. Would you have faith/trust in the Oilers in a 7-game series against the Avalanche this spring? And a couple of texts and chat messages that came in. Jack says, I have faith in this team when they're disciplined. Jack's good point. Jackie says, let's see tonight how the Oilers respond after the loss to Dallas. If they come out flat, don't play hard, then we can all panic with them getting cold before the playoffs. I think they're going to be up for this game, but that's a fair point, Jackie. That's a fair point. Some stranger says they're capable if they don't trip over their own mistakes. That's a fair point as well from some stranger on that one. Take a quick peek now at the inbox. Got a couple of texts. Says, Surveyor Brett, yes, this is great. I can't believe I'm listening to the pregame show on Alexa via TuneIn. What a time to be alive. Someone came up to me the other day, Trev, older gentleman, lots of respect, obviously, and said to me, well, how do I listen to this? And I said, hey, watch this. And I said, hey, Siri, play Edmonton Sports Talk. And then Siri's like, not playing Edmonton Sports Talk. And he's like, that's it? I said, yep. And he's like, I can connect that to my car. And I was like, yep. He's like, okay, no problem. And I was like, we made it as easy as possible. And it comes in nice, loud, and clear. Surveyor Brett, thank you for the text. Let's go to Stu now. Says, hey, gents, looking forward to the battle tonight After seeing 10 or so games with our deadline additions, do you wish the Oilers went in a different direction? What's your opinion on Henrique? I hope Kane can get involved physically early and pot a couple of goals. We need him buzzing into the playoffs. That comes in from Stu. Trev, get ready to answer Stu's question. I'm going to go first. Carrick, I wasn't expecting. And from what I was told, he was brought in to bring a little grit. He does have some jam and some offensive pop, not a ton, but he can do it, which is great. We saw him get things started in St. Louis with Brown on the Ekholm goal. That was a great play, and he's got a bit of a nose for the net, and he certainly won't back down from anyone. That's a bona fide NHL player. So, am I blown away by Sam Carrick? No, but I look at it and go, okay, you have a different option, a different look, something you could throw at the opposition to kind of mix it up, and he'll keep up just fine. So that one, okay, decent. And then Henrique, if you were expecting them to get a game changer, someone that was going to tilt the ice the way a superstar would, that's not Adam Henrique. He does his work in a subtle way. That's always been his MO. He pops up at big moments and has with New Jersey and Anaheim. Obviously not with the Ducks in recent years because they've been so bad. But a steady, smart veteran that just adds more depth to your team. So I have respect for what Henrique brings to the table. I knew we weren't going to be wowed by him. I can understand why they targeted him with limited means to get something done. So are they blow your socks off types of moves? No. Do they make your team better? Yes. And that's how I look at it. And it's not on Adam Henrique to drive this team to a Stanley Cup. It's on the guys in front of him, but he needs to be reliable, steady, and add some offensive pop here and there as well. And I think so far, especially in the last 5-6 games, he's been able to do that. YouTube, Trev, what's your take on Adam Henrique and Sam Carrick? Because Stu is curious.
Yeah, as far as Sam Carrick goes, honestly, I'm pretty impressed. I'm not going to pretend here and say that I watched him a heck of a whole lot in Anaheim. But when we had Luke Gazdic on the show, he was saying no, the Oilers fans, he's going to win a lot of Oilers fans over, and he's going to do that with his hard play in the boards, and right from the get go, he drops the gloves, makes his presence known in the orange and blue, and won a lot of fans over, including myself. And so yeah, I think he's a little faster than I was expecting. I think his hands are a lot better than I was expecting as well. He almost got a goal the other day on a breakaway. It was a good save. But yeah, he's got his looks, and I think he's fit in pretty well. So with Sam Carrick, yeah, I'm quite pleased with how he's fit in with the Oilers. As for Henrique, I'm still on the fence. I think it really just boils down to getting that set line, that matchup that he wants. And I feel like once he has a line, you're going to see a lot more from him. But in saying that, I'm not mad with what I've been seeing. I think he's been just as what I've expected, but I do think there's a lot more to give with a guy like Adam Henrique. He's 3 points away from having a career, or tying his career year. He's got unbelievable hands and tight. He's got a pretty underrated shot as well. We've kind of been seeing it. Not the fastest guy, but he's experienced. And so with Adam Henrique, I think as expected is what I've been seeing for the last few games. But I do think he's got an extra gear to give. Do we see that in the playoffs? I'm hoping so, and I have faith. I have faith in Adam Henrique going into the playoffs. I really think he's going to show up a little bit more.
There's that word again. It's in our poll on YouTube if you want to get in there in the nasty chat. Do you have faith in the Oilers /trust in a 7-game series against the Colorado Avalanche? Some stranger via the nasty chat says, hey, when was the last time this team played a full 60? It's been a while. And I'm going, okay, some stranger, I know where you're coming at us with that one from. But I go back to last week when the Oilers beat the Kings 4-1 and the Oilers beat the Winnipeg Jets 4-3. And a lot of the response we got on the post-game shows those 2 nights were, that was a 60-minute effort. That was a complete game, especially the Kings game. So it hasn't been that long. I think the losses this week have probably clouded some people in Oil Country, their minds and their memories. But last week, they had a good game against the Jets. They win 4-3 in Winnipeg. They have a good game at home against the LA Kings. They win 4-1. Yes, they take care of business on the Saturday against the Anaheim Ducks, the lowly Anaheim Ducks, but some stranger, it has not been that long since we've seen a complete, quote-unquote, 60-minute game from the Edmonton Oilers. And then I wanted to thank Stu for the text via the inbox. We've got a few more that I want to get to. Then we're going to go back inside the Oilers locker room. And I should say, too, Troy Stecher, when he has played good, we forgot about him, or when he has played, he's been good for the Oilers. Outside that first game where he got thrust in when Desharnais was hurt, that was a tough situation. Tough way to get a guy into his first game with his new team. So Stecher, for the most part, has been good. He's added depth to the defense. He's a bona fide NHL blue liner, and he gives you a different dynamic. And on top of that, something that they sorely needed, another healthy body that can play. That's a defenseman, can play defense. All right, let's go to Tube Socks. Tube Socks texts in, says, when the Oilers are good, they're really good. When they're bad, they fall to pieces. Thank you, Tube Socks. That was a Velvet Revolver reference. I will never sing again on this fine station. I apologize. Corey B says, just tuned in. I thought I heard Spec. Horribly confused. Realized it was Knobber press conference. Miss you guys tonight. I'll be around next week. XOXO Corey B, who just got back from his trip with the family. Corey B, we are getting ready to get you that tattoo, the EST tattoo. I heard Dusty talking about it today on the morning show, and there was actually someone else that wanted to get an EST tattoo. So we talked about it in our meeting on Wednesday, and yes, indeed, we're going to make that happen if you're still up for it. Let's go to Jasmine. Who says, a nasty hasn't gotten a selfie on air yet? Go Oil. I think there's been some people that have come and taken selfies. I can't remember. A few people have come and taken pictures. Not today, though. Not today. Wilson says, hi, LTE. I'm here at the building. Where do I meet you? That was from earlier in the day. Why did that pop up now? All right. Our inbox is drunk. It's drunk, Trev. All right.
Sorry, yeah, I noticed that too. We were getting some texts from earlier this morning that were just popping
up from earlier. I'm like, what's going on here? Yeah. All right. You know what we're going to do? We're going to go back inside the Oilers locker room, hear from their Masterton nominee. Let's go to Vinny Desharnais.
Great association. I'd like to congratulate you on being the nominee for
Thank you.
Masterton, perseverance,
Thank you.
dedication to the game. Your thoughts?
Obviously, it's always nice to be recognized like that, to be nominated for an NHL trophy. If you had told me that a couple of years ago, I would have probably laughed at you. But yeah, obviously, it's just lots of hard work, lots of passion for the game, and lots of people along the way that supported me. I've mentioned it many times before. My support group has been. It's been awesome for me, and for me to play over 100 games in this league, I don't think I could have made it without them. So it's really awesome. But at the end of the day, it's a nomination, and I'm here to play hockey. I'm not here to get nominated. So I'm just going to focus on my game tonight.
If this is, the top or somewhere close to the top, where did it start? Where did this journey?
At the bottom. At the bottom. There's a few moments, obviously, in my career that I look back and I can see where I could have just quit. Obviously, East Coast, when I played in the East Coast, a couple months before that when I was going through a depression, going back to the BCHL where when I started the BCHL, I was 7th defenseman, and they wanted to send me to Junior B. When I didn't get drafted in the QMJHL draft, for me it felt like a failure to me. So there's a few moments that I can think that were pretty tough in my career that it felt for me that were hard, but I think that kind of built me into this person I am today and into this hardworking player.
All right, to change focus to the Avalanche tonight,
yeah.
Obviously. I mean, you know what these guys can do.
Yep.
A lot of tight games. I mean, there's been a lot of overtime. Why do you think there's so little to separate these two teams?
Oh, it's going to be a good game. It's going to be a playoff-like game. I think last game we played each other, it was a really, really hard, physical, intense game, and that's what we're expecting tonight. You know, there's no more practices. There's no more. We're getting ready for playoffs, and obviously it's going to be a tight game. They're very fast, very good defensively. They're very hard defensively, very tight. So we're going to have to bring our A game from the start to the finish.
What's it like when, you're not known as a speedster, you're a guy that has to play positionally well.
Yeah.
When you're playing a team with this much speed, what are you thinking heading into the game?
I got to move my big boots, that's for sure. That's a big thing. I always, no matter what team I'm playing, I'm always trying to focus on moving my feet pretty hard, and especially against this team, you don't want to be caught flat-footed. But no, having good sticks, good positions, and always D side, so you don't get caught on the wrong end. But I've played them before. I know what I can do, and I'll focus on that tonight.
So look, it wasn't a playoff game that you lost the other night.
No,
but it was, kind of a game against a top team where you guys didn't have a great night. So is there a sense of we got to prove we're better?
Yeah, I think the first period was a playoff-like game. I think it was back and forth, and I think we did a lot of good things. I think Picks made some really good saves in the first to keep us in there. Their goalie, I think, was pretty good in the first period as well. Then we just got away from the good things, got away from the small details, and we got impatient. And I think that's the key in playoffs, that you got to be patient. You got to be ready to play a 0-0 game, a 1-0 game, and I think we got away from that. And obviously that's going to be a key for us tonight, to just focus on the first shift, and then the second shift, and then our third shift, and not look too far ahead, because we know what we have in this group, in this locker room. And we just got to be patient with it and stick to what works. And we've proved in the past that it works, that we can do it. We just got to stick with it.
How much better prepared are you personally for the playoffs than maybe you were last year? What was it like?
I think when you add all the experience I've had, playoff experience, full season experience, I think I'm more mature as a human being and more mature as a player as well. My game has grown a lot. And I think that I've developed a better role on this team, and I'm just excited to show that I can help this team go all the way.
All right, there is Vinny Desharnais. Kind of cool to hear his story, and he was on the verge of being cut from his BCHL team. They want to send him to Junior B, and he worked his way up. Late draft pick out of college. I remember when he was drafted, I remember mentioning Vinny Desharnais, and I was like, this guy's 6'7", but he was a 7th rounder. And I truly didn't think we would ever hear much from him or see much of him. And here he is, a key member of the penalty kill. Yes, he is not perfect. He's in his first full NHL season. He has flaws in his game, but you heard him, talk about his progression, and he's always talked about what he wants to work on, how he feels compared to last year at this time, and really a great guy to just chat anything with. Like, you talk hockey, you can talk about other sports, you could talk about just life in general, and he's always got a very positive perspective on it, Trev.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be the first and I'm sure some of the nasties know I've been kind of ripping him apart for the last month or so, and that's...
You're a jerk.
Yeah, right? But there's nothing better than a good success story, Tommy, and that's kind of what this is, right? I think, myself and a lot of people out there, it's you have to work hard for certain things in life, and you get knocked down, you keep on going, and so it is. So kudos to Vinny for that. I will give him that. It is well-deserved that... He never gave up, and there was an interview I heard or I read about it, saying that he was talking to his dad, and his dad was saying, no, like, once you get to the NHL, you're never going to get called back down, because you know what it takes to you're the hardest worker in the room always, and so that's kind of what he's that's transpired his whole career, and which has ultimately led him to the NHL. So kudos to you, Vinny. I will give you that one. That's awesome.
Nicely done. Well said, Trev. This is one of 6 games on the schedule tonight. Oilers and Avalanche. Let's get you up to speed on what's going on so far in the National Hockey League. 3-1 Buffalo leads Philly. Third period about to get underway there. 2-1 Washington over Carolina after 2. 3-3 Detroit and New York Rangers in Detroit after 2. You've got the Seattle Kraken visiting Anaheim. The Golden Knights are in Arizona, who unveiled their plans for a new arena and district. Whether or not those actually come to fruition, I don't know, but they are still playing at Moulet Arena. I got a couple of texts that I want to get to. One from Jay. Jay says, Tom, I have faith in the Oilers no matter who they're playing. This is our year. Sorry, I never remember your nasty chat number. Sorry for your loss, pal. Thank you, Jay, who texted in directly to me. At least he's listening, and I appreciate it. And Jay does not lose faith in the Oilers. He's through and through orange and blue. Good to hear from you, Jay. Let's go to Norman at Combine, who texts and says, hey, Tom, just getting ready to come for a drink. Bring in my wife. Norm, guess what? Richard Croft set up a table for you. Richard's been running. Richard has a shop just down the street by United Cycle. VR Montenegro just got here. Good to see him. We'll have a beverage and a bite together. And then any other nasties that want to come on down to Hudson's White Ave, I will be here all night long. So, Norm, I'm looking forward to seeing you. And your wife, as always. It's always fun when you guys come by. Reno Texan says, I would have more faith in them if the D could stop trying to be scoring heroes, just concentrate on playing tough defense, not giving away pucks, and getting the puck out of their zone effectively. And then let's go to this one from Nasty Kenne. Tommy, listening to you on a flight from Vancouver to Edmonton before I lose the internet. Sad I won't be able to listen to the first half of the game. Nasty Kenne. I love that. Great handle, Nasty Kenne. The Oilers and the Avalanche. Stuart Skinner against Alexander Georgiev. If you want to know the Oilers lines, McDavid with Draisaitl and Hyman. Nugent Hopkins with Henrique and Fogle. McLeod between Kane and Perry. Derek Ryan centering Janmark and Brown on defense. Ekholm with Bouchard. Nurse paired up with Ceci. Kulak with Desharnais. The two guys who are out for the Oil, Troy Stetcher and Sam Carrick. As for the Avs, Nathan McKinnon between Jonathan Drouin and Mikko Rantanen. Casey Middlestat with Valerie Nichushkin. He's back. And Arturi Lehkonen. Ross Colton centering Miles Wood and Zach Parise. And then Yakov Trenin between Andrew Cogliano and Brandon Duhaime. On defense for Colorado, Devon Taves with Cale Makar. Sam Girard with Josh Manson. Jack Johnson with Sean Walker. No Logan O'Connor. No Pavel Francouz. Of course, Gabriel Landeskog has been out for multiple seasons now. And Joel Kiviranta is a healthy scratch. YouTube Trev, what were the final numbers on the poll in the Nasty Chat?
Let me just bring those up right now, Tommy. Okay,
let me get to those. Thank you.
We have 75 votes, and the question, just if you're just tuning in now, would you have faith / trust in the Oilers in a 7-game series against the Avalanche this spring? 65% of you say yes, and 35% of you say no.
All right, I like that. That's good. Positive.
Yeah, not bad.
Positive. Not bad at all. All right, let's see if the Oilers can bounce back after a shellacking in Dallas. I like their chances. Big boy hockey. Don't take stupid emotional penalties. And it should lead to success. These two teams had a great game a few weeks ago. I'm expecting round 2. A big thank you from Megan Angley for stopping by from DNVR Sports. As always, a huge thank you. And we appreciate you from myself, YouTube Trev, and Matty Kassian. As always, enjoy the game. We'll catch up with you on the post-game show right here on EST. Ciao for now.